Okay, Laura.
You.
I hope we can hear him. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now we hear you.
That's because I plugged in the microphone. That's why. But before you start, Kevin, I just want to say I did that last night floating on an air mattress in a swimming pool
Very cool.
with the bowls all around the outside of the pool, and they would just move around from station to station playing the bowls. It was incredible.
Wow. Nice.
Incredible.
Maybe you should video that next time. Do a video of the sounds.
I think there is. Oh, I should do it, or they should do it.
Well, somebody make it available.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go in the other room.
Kevin, you're up.
Okay. Well, today has come about. When Teresa made her presentation, she mentioned that our Yes, it was Teresa's presentation. She mentioned that we are ordained under the guise or the tutelage of Melchizedek. Now, I had no idea who Melchizedek is. It feels like the religious group that I grew up in was Adam and Eve, Lot, the flood, and Jesus' birth, and nothing in between. So when I heard Melchizedek, that really sparked my interest. I wanted to know who the person was and whether or not my ministries, whatever, fulfilled his callings and that sort of thing. So I got a response back on the calling, and I was pleased. I was pleased to say they didn't laugh me out of the building. Uh, but then it was a lot of like who Melchizedek is and why he's so important for the Madonna ministry. We first meet Melchizedek, and I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right. I have aphasia, and Lord knows what the words are going to sound like. So, um, he appears when, and I thought this was an interesting story. Lot was Abraham's nephew, and he was captured by one of the 11 warring kings in the neighborhood. So Abram went and rescued Lot. And when Abraham came back, Melchizedek appears. And Melchizedek has, has no lineage. He has no beginning, no end, no family name, nothing. And for the book of Genesis, they are begat, 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 but there's nothing for Melchizedek. And he's basically in Hebrews, and he doesn't show up again until a verse in Psalms. So we know nothing about this man. But and the scripture to me appears like he was stripped out of the Bible during the writing of the Nicene Creed and all that kind of thing. So the scripture tells us when Abram got back from rescuing Lot and Bill and Melchizedek sees him, the tradition at the time for a king was to split the spoils, and you would get the prisoners and you could kill them or turn them into slaves, whatever, like very Old Testament world. Melchizedek was the first person, and he was a king and priest. He was the first one to ever bless, and he extended a blessing to Abraham instead of allotting him spoils of the war and things like that. So that set the tone, and that was the first pattern of Melchizedek's priesthood, and as a result set the pattern for us. And it was the message that came out of that is blessing is a sacrament, presence is the authority, and service is the offering. So when we look at Melchizedek, we don't see him as an ancient character. We should think of him as a contemporary. that we are trying to live up to his ideals and to his purpose. Uh, and oh, oh it's kind of Hebrews 7 just has one, and it's Melchizedek blessed him. And so after that, we don't hear much. But then if we go to the Gnostic Gospels, now I'm going to be checking my notes here because I want to be accurate on that. They went into more detail. The Gnostic Gospel of the Egyptians presents him as a heavenly priestly figure connected to the great light and perfect mind. He reveals divine knowledge through spiritual illumination. So this is kind of setting it up for he was more than just a man. And other Gnostic Gospels describe him as he was a high priest of cosmic order, a guide of souls, an intercessor for humanity, one who embodies righteousness and truth. I'm wondering if those descriptions were removed from the popular religious texts because it kind of instills that he was more than man, and they couldn't figure it out at that time what was happening. And then the Gospel of Truth, his attributes were compassion, revelation, healing of ignorance, restoration of inner wholeness, all qualities of the Melchizedek lineage. But then if you go to Urantia teachings, they get more into the cosmic attributes to him, and they almost write like he was a direct descendant from God. They kind of suggest that he was the prototype for Jesus. And of course, Jesus came from heaven or whatever. And it describes Melchizedek as a part of a celestial order who serves as teachers, stabilizers, and emergency ministers across the universe. So we are all imbued with those qualities and those teachings. And he was considered a universal teacher, stabilizer of presence, a bridge between divine and human, being who can incarnate when needed. And this aligns with the message we carry today, a priesthood without walls, a priesthood grounded in presence, a priesthood lived through service. Melchizedek is really important for Madonna ministry because of the fact that he is truly interfaith. He predates any denomination. He predates the creation of Israel and the development of the Holy Land. So he was as what am I trying to say? Because he predates, he did not belong then, and he still belongs today. He's timeless. Melchizedek is endless. There's no recordings of his death. And I think at one point I read around Noah, there was a story around Noah, and I wasn't quite sure. I think uh, Noah kept him and set him apart from the flood because he knew he was a special man. And every minister in our ministry carries the Melchizedek traits. When we sit with someone who's grieving, we walk in the Melchizedek priesthood. When we bring calm into chaotic moments, we walk in Melchizedek priesthood. When we listen without judgment, we walk in Melchizedek priesthood. When we bless someone's day with kindness, we walk in Melchizedek priesthood. And I read that and immediately thought of you, Laura, with your teddy bears that you sew for uh, people who have lost loved ones. That is a Melchizedek example. And I could go to each one of you and name where I think your Melchizedek traits come through. And that's what makes us a strong ministry. Because we build within ourselves that a temple, like we're a church without walls. Well, so that temple's got to be somewhere, so it's within us. And it was in Melchizedek. He didn't come from a temple. He didn't come from a long lineage of important people. His father wasn't king, and he was Prince of Wales until his father died. So we nurture in each other with our ministries, building of the temple within ourselves and giving ourselves spirituality, confidence, love, and whatever. And uh, and we everything we do seems to be in traits of the Melchizedek principles. It was interesting in the 3 columns that you had set up in your slide. It was Melchizedek was at the very top of that very first column, and we come all the way through. So Melchizedek was what's the term? I'm having a brain fart. Madonna is what? Uh, anyway, the combination of what I'm looking for the word here. Archetype. That's what I'm looking for. The Melchizedek is an archetype of spirituality, and Madonna is an archetype of uh, compassion, listen deeply, be steady in the face of pain, grief, and confusion. You know, I think of the hospice work that's done through our ministers and the guidance. Even Charlie, your financial advice is helping people in a good way. You're making sure that they have living, like everything we do is the Melchizedek. Oh, God, Lord. Melchizedek uh, principles. It's imbued in us, right? We can't help but survive. And then we have the spirituality of Melchizedek combined with the spirituality of the Madonna archetype. Uh, we've got two of the most two really strong combinations there. And when you combine that with our organizational structure, we are in we're on the right track. We had the right motives, I think. And I'm just trying to think, where am I here? And our lineage carries this all forward. And this combined archetype, rooted in spiritual maturity, interfaith openness, and the commitment to blessing without limit. And we are truly a priesthood without walls, a lineage without exclusion, and a blessing without limit. And we carry forth this lineage, and as a fact, we'll be carrying it further. There are so many people who are looking for a safe place, a place to go, and be understood, a place to go to be uh, spiritually inspired, and we can be that place. We are that place. And look, we have the Melchizedek archetype behind us. We have the Madonna archetype and the organizational bonification. And when I talk about those three, and especially the organizational, I think that's kind of a step back from not having to start, not having to finish. Like, we're not quite Melchizedek in that regards. We do have a history and a lineage, but it's that lineage that makes us so powerful. And I use the word humbly when I say powerful. Uh, I often say when we pray, that's the most powerful gift that we can offer up. And so in this case, we have that sort of power. And this lineage will become our outreach identity, a ministry that meets people where they are, blesses them where they stand, and supports them as they build their inner temple. A Melchizedek Madonna lineage is spiritually mature, interfaith, compassionate, and grounded in blessing. And I just want to close this with a benediction. And it's, may we all walk in the Melchizedek priesthood with confidence, with clarity, compassion, and presence. May we embody the Madonna with protection, tenderness, and spiritual growth. May our presence bring calm. May our compassion bring healing. May our blessings bring strength. May our ministry continue to grow in spirit and in reach. And may our service be a blessing to all who cross our path. Thank you.
Bravo. Well done. Well researched. Thank you so much. I'd like to, there's a few things that you didn't say, I don't, or at least I didn't hear. Jesus was a priest in the order of Melchizedek. That's in the Bible. The other thing in the book, Blessed Among Women. Now, there's a lot of people, even Hebrew people, that don't understand they had a priesthood because they think of Hebrews just having rabbis or teachers. But in the ancient times, they certainly did. And there was two orders of priesthood. One was Melchizedek, which is a spiritual one, and the other was the priesthood of Levi. And Levi was the ordinary humanistic one, where they have human ideals and quite different from the spiritual ideals. So I just want to share that. And also in the Blessed Among Women, if you remember the story, the head of the temple was in the Melchizedek priesthood.
Yeah.
Yet he had priests, Levi priests, working under him that were kind of a threat to Mother Mary when she was in the temple, because they were coming from a humanistic point of view and they were trying to show some harm that she may have done that she didn't do. Where the head priest of Melchizedek was able to resolve issues. And you also remember in the booklet that all the suitors for Mary, there were a number of suitors. And the way they chose the suitor was when Joseph showed up, his, not a cane, what's it called?
Staff.
A crook, a hook, what is it called?
Staff.
A staff. His staff bloomed in flowers, and that was a symbolic sign that he was the one chosen to be the spouse of Mary. But Kevin, you did a great deal of research. And again, I would encourage anyone who's in the ministry to do like you do. Do the research, do the homework, find out the depth and breadth of who we are. And also, got to read Blessed Among Women and Brothers of the Great. They're fundamental to our teaching. Thank you for your help.
Thank you, Charlie. Thank you, Kevin. And there's also there's a theory that Melchizedek was actually an incarnation of Saint Germain. And so there is a connection there as well. I don't know why I said that because I don't know anything more about it, but I'm going to throw it out there. There we go.
Well, there's not in the scripture. There's really no allusion to his spirituality or his spiritual condition. But when you go into the Gnostic Gospels and when you go into Urantia writings and Melchizedek's traits show up in other religions where they have incorporated some of his traits. But it's when you go into the Gnostic Gospel and Urantia especially, where they come right out and say, he, it was almost he descended straight from heaven onto the field and gave Abraham the blessing. So and there's a lot more. Like in Urantia, they go into more details. They had a whole sect of people who followed Melchizedek, who were supposed to be spiritual leaders of the community in an ethereal way. And so, I could, I have watched hours of Melchizedek, and I could have, spent a week talking about him. But I figured I was preaching to the choir. But I thought it was important to, it reaffirmed the reasons my ministry went on, and I didn't even know it. And what can we do once we know it? And we draw on that for inspiration, whatever. Like I would love to be a funeral director again and have the next 10 years thinking the way I think now. But I probably wouldn't have stayed working long because you don't talk spirituality when a family is burying a loved one.
Oh, Kevin, don't give up on that, because life is a spiral. And what we give our attention to tends to manifest in our journey, in our lives. And as a funeral director, you put out your truth, people are going to get it. Yeah. Your truth today is different when it was whenever you were past funeral director. So you bring that aliveness, you bring that spirit with you into your next expression of service, like we all do.
Yeah.
So I apologize for being late. I almost missed this talk, and I really wanted to understand more about Melchizedek. Is that what it is?
Melchizedek.
Because I don't come from that background. Like my training and all of my experience is in spirituality that predates Christianity. So the idea of the goddess archetype, that's natural to me, right? And being raised Baptist, for me, even with my training, there was always, but what about the male aspect, right? It can't all just be female, it has to be balanced. So as I continued my studies, we get into that. But even that name is new to me. God as male and both female is not. Right. So when we talk about priesthood, that is new to me. Priestesshood is not. Priests within religion and tradition and different things like that, that's not new either. Right. We have that in different things that I have been involved in, but the goddess has always been the focus. For me, maid, mother, crone, goddess of different types. And then the idea of God being a woman, God being everything, God being a man. So I'm listening to this and I am trying from my perspective more so to understand what exactly this priesthood is. Because again, like I said, for me, goddess, for me, it was Isis and then the Black Madonnas and then just Madonna, but not to forget I was raised Baptist. So I'm always trying to incorporate this type of stuff in. And I used to get kicked out of Sunday school for asking questions. So the same questions that you guys are answering here. So I feel like a kid in a candy store. So can you just explain that a little bit more?
Yeah, I'd like to address that. Thank you, Kate, for bringing that up. The Madonna in many circles represents the feeling nature of humanity. So when we journey into the Madonna, we're getting more in tune to our feeling nature, where the divine masculine is more of an intellectual approach to understanding God. But it's a marriage of the two that give us the balance. And since Melchizedek priesthood is forever, and it's represented in Egypt and everywhere else where we find priesthood, and it doesn't single out men. In the early Christian church, women were as active as men in providing their homes and having groups. It wasn't until the patriarchal movement came in and took control, and that's more of the Levi priesthood. It's more the need to control rather than to express our spirituality. And so we all agree that the temple is within each and every one of us, and the teachers in every one of us, and that God in creation is in everything. So it's not just in the male or the female, it's in all creation. So when we honor God, we honor the spirit that underlies all creation, and it helps us resonate to the depth of being spiritual within ourselves. Does that help?
It does. Um, for me, it just really solidifies the teachings that I have learned going forward, but it's just a different name. And yeah, it does really help. It just goes to show you, though, no matter how much you know, there's always so much more to learn. And that's one of the things that I really appreciate about this group. So, yeah, that helps. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So, like the prodigal son, we're all in the process of taking our humanity to establish the awareness that we're spiritual beings expressing as humans. It's not we're humans trying to get to become spiritual. It's we are spiritual beings who are expressing life as humans. So we're becoming increasingly more aware of that, and then we become more beneficial presence in the world because we're coming from our authentic beingness.
We're building our inner temples constantly.
Yeah, that's a good point because, I just reading a book about all the different scientific understanding about that we are energy and we so much what we observe is influencing us as much as we are observing it. So we're not separated from anything. It's a spiral of consciousness. And one way they described it was, is have a spiral almost like a funnel. And so it's the more attuned we are, then the more the spiral opens and opens and opens and becomes grander. Another way of looking at it, it's the pituitary gland is often referred to as funnel consciousness. We're funneling the divine rhythm, or divine energy. As we align ourselves with it, we become, lack of any other thing, as beneficial presence to the world. We're not out to change the world. We're out to bring spirituality, awareness into the world. And that creates the change that is beneficial.
So there's this teaching that the more enlightened you become, and I'm just kind of paraphrasing and trying to put it in a way like what you said, like we're not out to change the world, right? But the more enlightened you become from like within, the way you shine with your own light, the works that you do, the deeds that you do, the love that we show, the compassion that we show, just all the works that we do, that energy within, let's just say it shines without. And that's what attracts people that are looking for peace, that are looking for love, that are looking for understanding, that are looking for another way, that are looking for a place to belong. And as that light continues to radiate out and we draw more people in and they find their peace, that changes them in the ways that benefits them the most, right? So they're not so despondent. They're finding love within themselves. They're finding ways to coexist and to get along. And these are ways that we're not out to change the world, but we're making change in that we're helping people to find that peace and that love within themselves. And then they go out and they do the same, maybe not the same as us, but does this make sense to
Yeah,
anyone?
you're saying it very well. Another way of putting it is Mary answered the question, my soul does magnify the Lord of my being. What does that mean? That means she surrendered to the presence of God so God can use her more freely, easily as the temple or the vehicle to give birth to Jesus, the enlightened one. Mary had to be enlightened in order to be, her parents had to be very good people in order to be the channel for such a avatar. And so when we, in fact, bring our light into the room, if it becomes a burden, then we're falling short of giving credit to the Creator. We think we're doing it. But if it's no burden to bring the light into the room, then we're expressing God's will through us as us. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Thank you.
I wish you were in my Sunday school back then.
Maybe I was.
It would have helped when I asked about, if God created everything. What about the dinosaurs? I got kicked out, but it's just it's nice to be able to have these discussions and have them come full circle um, with the way that we understand things. Like it's very enlightening to as a teacher, when you're teaching, sometimes you get a notion of something and you'd be like, I've taught that like 10 times already. And the 11th time it opens up something new. So this is where I love these discussions. And it's just like, I had another aha moment. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a great example. So those aha moments, you could credit it to the Madonna within you or the Divine Mother within you, bringing forth your intuition, giving you the bright ideas to share with your community. So you're opened up your heart. And your heart represents the fullness of God, not just the Divine Mother, but the Divine Father in principle. Because without that, life would not exist. So there's a harmony and balance between the masculine and the feminine, between the workings of God to bring everything into creation and yet give us the free will of choice. And that's where the law of karma comes in so beautifully. It's a teacher. If we're out of sorts, or we're doing the wrong things, there's a karmic consequences to all actions. But as we improve, as we listen more intently to the divine intuitiveness that's coming through us, and we honor that spirit, then we're making, as a Dalai Lama would say, good karma, good karma.
Charlie, it sounds like one of the next teachings, perhaps you might want to do it, is just from what you said, the Hermetic principles.
Yeah. it's all good. And your questions were perfect, and I'm glad you're participating. Because our ministry is about growth, and we support one another. And sometimes, we're in pain or suffering, or sometimes we experience a dark night of the soul. So it's nice to have a community, and within the community context of growth and energy, it produces a support.
And then we grow and pass on the benefits, the blessings, the education that we have learned here. So it extends far beyond our screens. Everybody we deal with hopefully is blessed.
Yeah.
And uh, I hope they see blessing when they look at my life. And, I've used this term in the past. I want them to look at me and say, I want some of that. And I want them to be as blessed as I am.
And you know what? If somebody sees something good within us, it's already within them, or they would have seen it.
Oh.
So that's the miracle of coming together, supporting one another, and that synergy of energy helps us to grow a more like in the lineage of Melchizedek, not in the lineage of Levi. Not that that's wrong, because God looks at everything and says that's good. It's just an opportunity to see the difference. And if the difference is meaningful to us, for me it is, I would choose joy over sadness. I would choose peace over chaos. I would choose enlightenment over ignorance. That's what I think we're about.
I think that the greatest thing that community does for us, and the reason that we put community in our name, is because it we open ourselves to each other, and in doing so, we open ourselves to all of the wisdom that surrounds us. And because I think wisdom, it knocks on the door, it knocks on the door, it knocks on the door, and until someone kind of turns the knob, the door doesn't open. And so I think that's what community does. We're constantly knocking on each other's doors. We're challenging each other to learn new things, to think in different ways. And every time that door knob just gets jiggled a little bit, it creates an opportunity for us to become more of who we are, to become more of who we were intended to be. And it is through the heartfelt connections. I think information is good, but I think it's the heartfelt connections, and it's the ability to understand that connection that creates community. And I think there's a lot of people these days that are looking for that. I think that, people are wanting to connect. They just don't know how. And so for us to be this group that even if we only connect on Sundays, we still have that connection. And we know that that connection is always available if we ever need it. And when we connect to others for healing, we spread all of that around. All of our lineages come together and we heal. So it is, Charlie, I love what you said about the community and about people coming together. And I really do believe, our numbers are few at the moment, but I really do believe that the secret about community is getting out there. There's people who are searching. And so if they search, let them find us. They will. If we create something worth finding.
To your point, our community is beyond the physical world. It's beyond. So we could be helping people that have been passed over, that are in limbo, so to speak. Kevin, you opened up Melchizedek by saying it brings a blessing to the world, and that's what our sacraments are alive, because we're intuitively guided to bless people in the way we do, as opposed to the old school of sacrificing virgins for the good of God. So that is coming from like the Levi priesthood. We're looking outside of ourselves to please God. When we look inside of ourselves and seek the resemblance of God, which is only good, then we bring that goodness out forward into our blessings to ourselves and our community, and particularly the sacraments that we offer in bringing forth ordination. We're coming from our heart center. We're acknowledging the temple of God within that person, and we're encouraging that person to bring forth the good within themselves, to share something that maybe they haven't shared before, like being a funeral director with a heart.
So I've been going over our website changes and how we're interacting on what our intro needs to say and what our lineage has been and all of these things, adding Mary Magdalene, etc. So what I did was I took some notes and I put them in the chat here if you're interested. Took some notes from Kevin's talk and added it to the Trinity of the Marys and Sophia, and it came up with a pretty interesting document that I think will give us a starting ground to reword some of our commentary. But it occurred to me, I was listening to a new bridge who's in the world right now, who has been speaking of a lot of the same things. It's like, I'm the appearance of the godlike form. I'm bringing you the message. I am not the guru, that sort of thing. But what he was saying is that they can incarnate or not and be in more than one place at one time or not. And when people come back and say, I've really learned some things and I saw you in front of me in this room of healers or wherever they happen to be. And he says that was just the essence of you recognizing in the mirror that you are the essence of God too. And a word that he used that I really love, because we keep having this gender thing. They say they're genderless. They prefer to be considered genderless on the other side. But he used the word God essence. It has the word goddess in it, the essence of God. And I thought, oh, maybe that's something that we can play with, and that can become something that brings that balance and that neutrality to the consideration, whether it's a gendered thing or not. What do
Yeah,
you think?
yeah, well said. Well, good, definite point, because people look at gender as male and female, and rather than an energy.
Right.
So God essence combines the two.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's use that on our website.
Yeah, I like it. And using it with the two D's, because God essence is still the
Right,
essence of God instead of goddess
right,
included. So to
right.
me, it kind of covers both bases.
Yeah, it's like trying to create a war between males and females.
Right. What do you think? How does that sit with you, Kevin?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Good, good. So I gave notes to those that are on the website committee. I think that's all of you. And we're accepting edits and changes. And I humbly request that you participate in the rewording, not just say, I don't want this or I do want that, but actually start writing with us on this document. It's a shared document, and would love your input, insights.
That's exactly what I did, right? I changed the wording. I did the work.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Great job. Good research. Thank you for being such an active participant. Love you.
Thank you. Love you too.
Wonderful. So next week we have Diana Lang coming, and she's going to do a talk on, I just wrote it yesterday. It's in the newsletter. Anyway, Looking
Yeah.
forward to that.
All right. Thank you.
She's from Meditation Mount as well. So she came and visited once with us.
Oh, they have some great programs. I encourage you.
Yeah.
Get online if you want to, like meditation on moon or whatever.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. She
Yeah.
leads the full moon meditations there.
Yeah. She's a beautiful teacher.
Yep. Wonderful. All right, everybody. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Okay.
All
Bye-bye.
right.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Have a good week.